Hello. Someone suggested to me that I read an existentialist book by this lady, Simone de Beauvoir. There's someone in the philosophy department is always trying to convert everyone she comes across to existentialism. Doesn't really seem to have worked so much because there isn't any existentialist other than her, but still pretty interesting, very informative. I'm not used to reading this kind of stuff, so I didn't really understand the first section. The second section I understood more. There are some things that are easy to agree with in the second section. The third section I haven't finished. I wanted to make a video before I read the whole thing to make sure I didn't forget things early on in the book. And I didn't really, from what I read in the third section, I don't agree with it. It's socialist. I mean, I've been told that Beauvoir is not a socialist, a Marxist, or maybe it's just that she isn't a Marxist, but she's socialistic. The second one, though, the second section, I can't help but see through it with objectivist lenses. So, she comes up with these three definitions of three types of people: the sub-man, the adventurer, the serious. The sub-man is someone who, in my terms, is completely unfocused. He doesn't focus on anything and lives by the moment. The serious man has a narrow focus, which these are my words: unfocused, narrow focus. It's my way to make it easy to understand. And serious man is narrow focused because he only sees one section of the existence and excludes everything else. And then there's the adventurer, who is kind of like the sub-man, but kind of like the serious man, who's above the other two, in a way, in that he's adventurous and doesn't contemplate so much. He acts. He's an action-oriented guy. And, they kind of ripped on the adventurer and held him up to some good. Or she did, Simone de Beauvoir. I think I might be at the serious. Maybe she ripped on the serious and the sub-man, so to speak. But I am the serious, and my narrow focus is philosophy. But philosophy is really big. That's like everything. So I guess I should. That's my loophole, I guess you could say. So that's my way of interpreting it, but the conclusions drawn in the thing are somewhat different. That's my way of interpreting section 2 of the ethics of ambiguity. And although she does pull in these whole the world is subjective and all that, which I don't believe it is. The existence exists and all that jazz. Section 3, the part I haven't finished, but I plan on making a second video when I do finish it. Section 3 is a bit longer than the rest of the book. In fact, Section 1 and 2 make up the first half of the book, and Section 3 makes up the other half. I read a good chunk of that half. And, it brings up a lot of arguments against capitalism that's used a lot that I don't think they're not arguments that are very convincing to me. They used to be, but not anymore. One of the arguments is that even though that capitalists don't steal theft from workers, it's still exploitation. Their concept is that you have to work or you starve, and it's not convincing to me, because I still don't see how me trading my work energy, my manual labor or my mental labor, that's a trade, so that I get paid money is exploitation. To me, it's trading. It's like if I had a goblin on a spider with a spear, and you had a goblin on a rider with looks like some sort of pole thing with a skull on it. But I wanted your model, and you wanted my level, model trade. I'll see there's an exploitation in there. That's just trading. So, I guess that comes from the whole myth that trading in business is a zero-sum game, that if there's profit, one person has to be stealing from another person, which that can be applied beyond ethics and politics. There's a guy named Boyd Rice. His music is entertaining, I guess, although sometimes disturbing. He was the lead singer of a band called Non, but he takes this further, this zero-sum concept. He's not an existentialist, but I'll tell you where, this is just an example of where this idea goes to the extreme. In his, one of his concerts, I'll give a link of the band, it was his song Total War. He says that man only exists by depriving life of other people, depriving what other people have. So he takes this zero-sum concept from socialism, says it's good, and then applies it to everything. That's why it doesn't surprise me that Rice is a cult fascist. Why his music is so outrageous while entertaining at the same time. There's another thing in there. I don't know if I'm taking it out of context or what, but in section 3 she also said that men don't contemplate, they do, which, I don't know, I guess I'm too much of an ideologue. That's too pragmatic for me, because I think you need abstract concepts and ideals and philosophy that you integrate into life. So you contemplate, and the contemplation rules your life in a way, and that's what I think. But the Beauvoir thinks very differently from that. Oh yes, she also brought up another one, the slaveholder argument against capitalism. The argument here is that that socialists will say that the same argument for capitalism is the same argument people made for slavery, and that is that slaves are not taught what liberation is, and that they're exploited too, and that they're kept in chains the same way workers are in capitalism. Yes, I guess I see their point, but they're missing one very important fact. The big difference between slavery and capitalism. And that is force. A slaveholder, he has a gun, and he's like, work or I'll blast you. The capitalist says, I'll trade you some money for your work, and we can keep trading and profiting from one another. We both profit. It's like a thank you for working for me, here's your money, and the other guy is thank you for giving me the money, and now I can go buy stuff. I don't know if I'm focusing too much on section 3. It might be just the fact that that's what I just read. And the last note, something I forgot about, section 2 that might be important, is examples of the adventurer, Simone de Beauvoir's adventurer in real life. I think FDR would probably be the best American example. Someone who's an adventurer. And Beauvoir also mentions that adventurers have this bad habit of becoming dictatorial, and if you're libertarian or conservative, that's sort of categorized as FDR, as it does Woodrow Wilson. But if you read Ambiguity Ethics, I think FDR very much satisfies what an adventurer is, in Beauvoir's words. Although, from what I've read, I think that she's probably a big fan of FDR. She rips on conservatives a lot, which I don't consider myself a whole lot conservative. Only sometimes to fill in the gaps when libertarians and objectivists don't have a solid stance on something like gun rights. They don't have a perfect stance on that, so I add conservatism. That's my own point to it. Well, it looks like I'm out of time, so thank you. Bye.